Okay, so as I'm driving the truck, hitting bumps and stuff, you hear a lot of banging. And there's kind of some, I don't know what you would call it, interesting fab skills. So this truck had overload bags on it, and I took all that crap off because the truck would bottom out, and it's still banging around. So you can see, I don't know, oh wow, I just noticed a crack. So I don't know if this rear end even belongs to this truck. It's like a later one or something. And it's got a plastic plug in the back. But the U-bolts, I mean, see how it's different? Normally the U-bolts are going that way around the housing on each side, and then the plate is on the bottom, and then the shock attaches to it over here. But this thing's got the plate on the top, which shouldn't be. That's why we have a problem with it hitting up there. I don't know, this just seems totally wrong. So I don't know if I could put a normal one on here. I have some from 8 3/4, hopefully B-body. I'm wondering if I can get rid of this plate, put a normal plate, U-bolt plate here, and normal U-bolts around it, so I don't have to worry about it hitting up there. Then I gotta cut this off, and I probably should be running a normal shock. I think these shocks I put on were for a car, trying to get them as short as possible because they were bottoming out too. Then the shock's gonna have to reach way over here once I get the new plates in. Yeah, that's sketchy shit. That was me. That part's me. This is all somebody else. And the shock was being twisted that way at a bad angle. So I welded these on there so that it would be in line with where the cross member is. When I get all the new plate, like I said, I'm going to put longer shocks on it, and it'll have the normal post with nut and stuff. Don't judge me. Just these. There's the part number MRE 35511. Alright, so you see my hokey little welded nuts on here to the post they had, because it was so far off, like the shock was being pulled towards the housing and it needed to be back farther. So I just added these nuts to move the shock back here, which is all pretty hokey, but it got me by. And then now we've got the normal style U-bolts and a bracket down here, and the leaf spring's in the way, but let me see. See that? So the shock's gonna go here now instead of over there. That'll be where it's supposed to be. And these Mancini Racing brackets are pretty cool because they have a little eyelet too, so you can, you know, cinch your truck down or tie it down to a trailer, taking it to the drags or whatever. Anyway, pretty cool. Okay, we got the Mancini Racing bracket down here, normal U-bolts on it. Everything looks way nicer and sturdy. This old crap that was on here. You know, this was up here. It was hitting the off frame. This was up here and it was coming up, contacting that, but on this side. So you could see the damage it was causing, and of course the truck's bottoming out all the time, which is pretty freaking annoying. Plus the U-bolts were like this, facing this way, which they look like they could kind of spread out, but there was this plate on the bottom which has these grooves into it which prevent it from spreading out. Anyway, I'm happy to get rid of all this crap, put the more factory style stuff on it. We should be in a lot better shape. And again, there's where the shock is going to attach to instead of that hokey thing I had over there. Or I should say what somebody previously fabbed up there, and then I just added to the hokiness to get me by. Anyway, so we'll change the shocks too. That shock is blown, so I got another one. Alright, so that's where we're at. Alright. So I didn't have regular stock shocks, but I had these competition engineering drag shocks. They'll fit this truck, they're long enough, and since I'm going to be racing the truck in a couple of weeks, it seems appropriate to go ahead and throw them on the truck and put them on the kill setting, which is the 3070. So your R is like a normal stock shock, 50-50, and then F is in the middle, it's 40-60, and then 30-70. So the 30-70, 30, go here to the box on the rear shocks. The first number reflects compression. So that's compression and that's expansion. So basically it'll be easy to compress and difficult to pull apart. So there's these markings on the shock, XF, F, and R. So that's the 50-50, that's the 30-70, but what I'm seeing is this is not really aligning. This is actually 50-50. So I don't know if this little mark that they put on here is off or these guys are off, but it's not aligning. So basically I went around and after I put it on a setting, when I try to pull these apart, it's very difficult to come apart and pretty easy to compress. So I know that's XF. If I go over one, it's going to be a lot easier to pull apart and easy to compress. That's the 50-50 setting. So I'm going to leave it there. It's the drag setting. Difficult, easy. So this thing should squat pretty hard when I leave the line. So we'll have to ask RJ when he's behind me how bad it squats. Right, RJ? Just kidding, man. Well, guys, I really don't know what to say to this. So the first shock I played with outside of the truck, you know, it seemed like the marks were not aligned perfectly, and I had to go a click over to get it to basically extend more difficult, which is the 70, and compress really easily, which is the 30. On this shock, to me it seems like it's valved in the opposite way. It seems to me like right now it's kind of difficult going up and it's super easy coming down. So that would kind of imply this is the 30-70 setting, but it's supposed to be 30 going up, like it's supposed to be super easy to go up and difficult to come down. So I don't know. I know there's like a little diagram on the box, but I don't know what the construction is made of. If they got something in there backwards or what the deal is. If I click around, you know, I get to the setting where it is 50-50. It feels difficult going down and up, and then this is the opposite end of that spectrum. Like I said, kind of stiff going up and kind of easy to go down. So it almost seems like it's backwards than what it should be. So I'm not too sure what's up with that. So anyway, if I get all the way up there, I click over. Come on, click. Okay, I'm gonna spot whatever that is. It's difficult coming down. A little bit easier going up, I guess. Maybe the same. It feels the same to me. That feels like 50-50, you know? And then go up, click over one. Easier coming down. Hard to tell on the going up. Click one more. Super easy to come down. And going up seems the same on all of them. So I really don't know what to do. I guess because either all three settings are the same going up, or if this is the easiest coming down, it's the opposite, then that means the compression would be the worst here on what is the backwards 30-70, you know, which would hurt launching, because you want it to compress as easy as possible for drag racing. So we go one over. Like I said, it's difficult coming down. I could definitely feel the difference coming down. Going up, it feels the same on every setting. It feels the same to me. Super easy down. Feels the same going up. Yeah, I don't know. And of course the settings seem wrong again, but definitely harder coming down. That seems the hardest going up. Really hard going down, but hard going up. I mean, if that's the hardest coming down, that should mean it's the easiest to go up. So I don't know. I really don't know where I'm at. I'm going to use that logic. I'm just going to take a best guess and say this is the hardest coming down. So let's assume the valving is correct. If that's the hardest coming down, then it must be the easiest going up. We're going to roll with that, and it is what it is. Ultimately, I mean, I drive this truck, so I'm not gonna say completely daily, but I drive it a lot. So I'm more concerned with, I'm more interested in getting daily use out of it. So if the shock's a little, if I'm on the wrong setting, like, and the truck doesn't launch like I hope it launches or whatever, I'm not going to worry about it. I don't think it's going to make a big enough difference to really matter. But so anyway, we're going to roll with it. It is what it is. So just pointing out real quick, the witness marks on this side too. You can see where this plate's basically coming up and smacking that. Look at all that. I don't know, somebody probably ground that. That looks ground actually. This is where it's hitting. Boom, boom, boom. Worse on the other side. Anyway. All that nonsense is out of there. Put some normal stuff in there. So that center hole right there, that center hole goes over the stud and nut that holds the stack of leaf springs together. So your alignment is pretty easy. And of course the U-bolts go through those holes. So originally I wasn't going to show this because I just thought, it's a mundane thing. But then I kind of thought to myself, a lot of my videos I show like probably too many details just to show people, because maybe you're watching and you're doing that same activity and you run into a problem and you're like, what do I do next, and so maybe this is helpful to figure something out. Anyways, so I went to go put the U-bolts on, and they're aftermarket U-bolts and they're a little bit spread right now. So when I try to put the plate on there this way, it was kind of tight. So I'd already bent that one, and you can see here, let me do it this way. You can see that one's kind of in the hole and how far off that one is. So I need to bend it. Problem is if I just squeeze this, bend it, then when I go to put it around the housing, it's going to spread it back apart and I'm going to have the same problem. So what I need to do is I need to bend it from around this area to get it to lean inward in that area. So I put it in my vise. One more thing. I thought of using a, C-clamp, but because of this thing pivoting, you can't really put that on a round part. It just wants to keep sliding off. So that wasn't going to work. So I put it in this vise, and then I grabbed my big trusty pipe, put it on like that, and give it a bend. So anyway, just showing an option. If you run into this problem, this is what you can do. I'm going to do that one next, and then we'll get back to video on the truck.